What's up, guys? So, a little bit about this episode before we begin. I had it all lined up to where I wanted to discuss some of the things that were going on in the UFC MMA world, as usual with Eric, but I did a podcast and I started to get into deep conversation before actually getting to the meat and bones of what we wanted to talk about. And one thing led to another, and I pressed the record button right as we were talking about food, because I showed Eric a bunch of pictures that of dishes that I'd made in the past few weeks, and Eric just went off on everything that he's been doing in the past 15 years as far as culinary and food cooking, and that he'd been working on a meal prep program for his friends and he's challenging himself to make healthy meals, limiting the kind of ingredients he can use and just making that taste as good as possible. I thought it was so fascinating the way he was talking about it. So I feel like if you're a person who likes to bake or cook or make things from scratch, you'll probably find what he has to say interesting. So sit back and enjoy the episode. I do notice that about you, especially either at family get-togethers, or I think whenever we have like cookouts. Whenever I used to go visit you in downtown Chicago,
Yeah.
It's like we'd have these huge things, but then you wouldn't really eat any of it. Then you just opt to either drink or eat this like cheap little cup of noodle thing with like the soup base or whatnot. Because you made some really nice wings. You made this really nice beer mac and cheese, whatever else. And then you were like, yeah, instead of that, I'm going to have this cup of noodle with like shrimp thing. And just like, I don't know what that is about you. It's kind of weird. And you also top it off with some healthy alcohol.
Because you're getting into cooking now. You're gonna get it. When you spend enough time putting all your work, you're staring at the same food.
You've been tasting
trying to execute a certain thing, and once it's accomplished, you've looked at all this food, and the last thing that you want to do is eat the food that you made. And there's also a little bit of guilt to it, to like,
Right.
well, I made this for my guests. I don't want to indulge in it. I made this for them. So
Yeah.
Dude, there was one time when I think it was when you're no, it wasn't. It was when I think my family or my parents and grandma went to Thailand and they were coming back.
Okay.
And then that night, like on the way back, I'm like, screw it, I want to make pho, because grandma loves to make pho for everyone. Or noodle soup. So I'm like, well, if they're going to come here, I'm going to, make noodle soup, my first time making it for the family. And, I'll have everything nicely set up for them. So when they come here, they can make it themselves. Everything's set up. But I think your mom knew that I liked it's like the green curry. It's mama. The green
now
curry.
I know where you're going with this. Yes.
Jeez,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. That good old
Yeah,
MST.
it's they sell it at they sell it at 7-Eleven, go to 7-Eleven, it's like 30 baht, maybe less. I think it's like 15 baht each, whatever it is. It's to the point where the space that it takes in the luggage is way more valuable than how much, what it costs to buy. I would buy that for $5 here, but it's 15 baht in Thailand. And they come back home. I'm very proud of myself because there's a very proud feeling that you have when you feed people, a group of people, especially your family.
Yeah.
And they're all there. They're like, "Oh, this is great, Eric. Look at all this that you did," And I'm like, "Cool. Did Antino, give you guys some instant noodles to give to me?" They're like, "Yeah, it's right here. Why?" And I just ate that, and I sat by myself in the corner with my instant noodles, waiting for it to, through the hot water in there, watching the family eat this noodle soup that I put hours into making. I'm in the corner like, this is living, man. But James, you're gonna know, because today you made food for your friend. How long did it take you altogether?
I think the bulk of it was kind of like you said. The prep usually takes longer. So, and by prep, it's just dehairing the mussels and then shelling the shrimp. That's what honestly took.
Wait, what do you mean dehairing the mussels? What does that mean?
Well, I mean, you would know, right? The mussels, sometimes they come shipped with like some hairs on them, or like you got to scrub it off. You got to run it in cold water first to make sure they're not sandy, right?
Are you talking about those little danglers outside of the shell?
Yeah.
It's funny you say that. You know what I do when I see that?
I keep it. No. Something tells me How come I didn't think of that? So you don't ever, you just kind of wash it, but you still kind of keep it in there because you don't think it's a bad thing
The
that drips into the sauce at all.
the mussels, I don't care. Also, like if you go to a place where they sell mussels, that should be gone anyway. You know?
No, well, there's the other thing is I think this was um these were samples that my friends had bought back from work and be like, hey man, the chef
Okay.
ordered way too much of this, and so we're just gonna stockpile our fridge full of shrimp, salmon, all the good seafood that like the caramel Karens don't want to eat, and so it's just like, all right,
Caramel Karens. Oh man, I can't wait to that. That's great. That's
I'm
great.
kind of location busting right now, but hey, like, it's true though. Like they this time of year, it's just they overestimated the amount of product that they needed, and so a lot of it was gonna go bad, like to the point where they couldn't stock the shelves enough for it.
Interesting.
So whatever, we get free samples. Like that's how we got a box full of oysters, and one of them had like freaking pearl in it. Like that's just insane. Like you saw, you saw the post I sent you, right? Like I don't know if
Yeah,
I ever
with the
sent you a
pearl. Yeah,
picture. The pearl,
you
yeah,
sent
that
me that.
came
Yeah.
from a box full of oysters. Just like that, the shelf was just like this.
Yeah.
We're not selling this for whatever reason because there's too much of it. So just
Yeah.
take it out or not.
It's got to be
Unofficially
a
don't.
sign of good luck. It's a sign of good luck, man.
Probably, and I mean, that's been one of the biggest blessings working at this place is just that, like, food is thankfully not something we have to worry about, which is a
Yeah.
huge plus. Like there I'm lucky, but everything else, man, like it's a lot going on, but I don't want
You
to get too
gotta.
much into it.
I mean, like being a food nerd, dude, you got to take advantage. Like whatever you get for free, use
I'm
that as an
experimenting
opportunity.
around so much
Exactly,
right now.
dude.
I'm
Use that
experimenting
as an
so
opportunity to
much.
experiment and to figure it out.
Yeah.
It might not be good, dude, but at least you know that's not going to be good. Try something else.
Yeah. So yeah, last week I did I think I'm making Sunday just purposely the day that A, it's a cheat day, but two, like it's a reward system kind of day. So I go balls hard the whole week.
Mm.
It was sad because this whole week I was thinking about Sunday. I'm like, man, this is gonna be so good.
Hey,
This is gonna be so good.
That's a good sign. That's a good sign that you're being like clean and healthy if you're only thinking about Sunday. That's a good sign.
Just because it's got to be good. Like it's got to be good. And truth be told, that's the only thing I ate all Sunday. It's just this seafood pasta that I've been looking for. I've been looking up at like recipes for. It's just I completely underestimated how powerful just a cheap old little box of Sauvignon Blanc is when it
Yeah.
comes to
Yeah.
that kind of pasta. I didn't know it
You
emulsified.
see a little bit, dude.
I did
You
not
might need
know.
like, yeah.
I had
For
no idea.
for a batch of pasta, you might
Yeah.
need maybe a quarter of the bottle.
Yeah, I did not use all of it. It was just like
Even that.
flip.
Even that.
you
Yeah.
know? It's just the way I
flavor.
think YouTube has been such a big gift for me. Like this is what I had compared to you 10 years ago. You probably didn't. I don't know how much you relied on YouTube for your recipes, but for me, YouTube has
Dude,
been like
no,
the
yeah.
biggest,
Different, yeah.
the biggest kind of helpful tool. It's just because you can draw from so many different places. Like what you were saying about cooking the shrimp and cooking the mussels separately. I completely understand what you're saying now because the shrimp, like,
Yeah.
if you get some color on it, but where I was with the gray area for me, like you were said, hopefully this all makes sense. I'm like, yeah, it does make sense. But what I didn't tell you was like, okay, so if you cook the shrimp in a different thing, if you cook the mussels differently, do you then take the oil from that and then put it in the sauce, or do you just separate?
No.
Oh,
No.
so you literally just take the cooked gunk and then you put it in the sauce, and the sauce is literally right at the end, right?
What do you mean cook gunk?
Like the seafood basically. So in this case, it's a mussels and shrimp pasta.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Simple, should be very simple, but to make it better, you recommended that you would cook the shrimp separately from the sauce. Because the gray area in my mind is okay. The pasta takes about 7 to 8 minutes max.
Yeah.
And like in that amount of time, to make it taste the way you want it, it's all about steps. At least for me right now, it seems that way. And so right now you have the steps down to a T, like, okay, this and that, or however way you feel, it's not rocket science. But for me, it's like,
I mean, it's
literally
like 20% rocket science, but yeah.
I literally I took a look at the video of these two like old Italian dudes doing it. I'm like, how hard is that? Not hard at all. So I cooked it on the same thing. I put
Okay.
olive oil on. I put the seafood on first. Then I put the garlic. No. Olive oil on.
Mm.
Crushed red pepper flakes because I didn't have the
Ooh.
pepper.
Ooh.
Then I just put the garlic on, and then I immediately blasted the seafood in there just to like so it would cook evenly together. But just the
Okay.
mussels first. Then I put the
Okay.
white wine on.
Okay.
Then the shrimp, because the
Mhm.
mussels, you want the steam to kind of open, the juices to kind of,
Yeah.
at least for me, and then put the shrimp in there. Take the water from the pasta, put it in there, and then the pasta, and then
Okay.
yeah.
My only thing about that is because certain seafood cook at different ways and
Right.
whatnot. So the reason why I said cook the shrimp separately is because shrimp, when after all you said, throw the mussels, throw the shrimp, throw the pasta. Shrimp is different, man. Shrimp, like, it tastes better when you sear that thing. That's why I said cook it separate.
Okay.
Cook it separate. Get some color on the shrimp and separate it.
Oh,
Put it
that's
somewhere
what
else.
you meant.
Because all seafood cooks fast, but they still cook at different times.
Yeah.
You know? That's why I say separate the
Oh.
seafood. Cook all the seafood separate. Because once you top it, like I think the pasta needs to be on its own. The sauce, the pasta, cook it on its own. When you add the seafood, it doesn't matter because, like I said, the pasta's already hot. The seafood, like even if the seafood is room temperature, no one's gonna notice. It's still gonna be good. Um, when you're doing all these steps and you're throwing shrimp in it later on, you're not searing, you're not getting a crust on the shrimp. You're just boiling the shrimp in the sauce that you already have, and it's still gonna be good, but there's better flavor when you get when there's heat and you get color on the shrimp. But dude, first of all, you did a fine job, James. This is just a really
No, but
really
it's the
just
small
like
little details,
critique.
that you pick up along the way. Like, so for me,
Yeah.
yeah, I did notice that, the shrimp didn't wasn't it wasn't like bright red, but it was still edible. I deveined it all, so like that was a
No, it's
success.
gonna taste it.
The thing I was worried about most
Yeah.
was the mussels opening up. I was like, oh shit, I've never cooked them. I've literally never messed around with mussels before. I'm like,
I'll tell you what though,
just hope
dude.
it opens
I'll tell you what
up.
about mussels, James. Spoiler alert, no matter what, they're gonna open up. They will open up. You're good, dude.
All right. I don't know. I just, there's that gray area. It's you with this, which is why it's interesting that we're having this conversation, because you with this is like me with a theoretical musical instrument.
Oh yeah.
That, or the piano, drums, bass. It's like if someone gives me a sheet of music or they want me to play something, it's like, okay, they'll send me the track. I got it. It's with you. It's like but it takes a certain level of. Okay, I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm not a professional musician. I'm just a weekend professional musician. But
I don't know, man. But I mean, you get calls. You get calls.
Like
and
15 years.
People depend on you to make music. I mean, you're there somewhere.
Well,
you're doing something right.
12 to 13, 14 years of it. Either for Sunday morning or for just playing around with other people. It's like it after a bit of practice, and once you get used to it, it's just like second nature. And I feel like that's what cooking has been for you in the past 15 or so years. So when was the first? Let's just take a deep dive a little bit. When was the first time you consciously tried to make a meal from the family? Because you were saying something earlier.
For the family, yeah.
You were saying something earlier about how Uncle, praised you on how good the crab sauce was, and you went to the room to cry. First of all, I do remember that. First of all, I do remember that. Yeah. I love that.
That's years later.
But me, I couldn't tell. Like that thing to me was so good because maybe I was coming from college where food was
so when I'm learning how to cook and I learn certain dishes or techniques, I do it, but like amateur, but I know what to do and I do it and I think it's good. I think it's good. And I'll make it for the family. And of course they're going to be like, oh man, this is great. But for whatever reason, like something as simple as eggplant Parmesan, it'll take me 3 hours to make. Or now, if I did it now, it would take me 45 minutes. There's just so many steps or things that I thought that was like the right way to go about doing it, but it's wrong. But I still make it, and they love it. They're gonna say they like it, but it's just not as efficient. And then the thing about the seafood pasta, that's why it's really interesting to me, to why you could say that you're a little early or a little in the infancy of your cooking. you know
Definitely.
no,
Definitely,
maybe I
definitely.
don't, but
Most
dude, it
definitely,
seems like
man.
you've been trying for a while. But I remember I did yeah, it's funny it's funny you brought this up, because it was your mom that woke me up unintentionally. But I remember,
Oh,
like,
woke you up.
I did a seafood pasta.
Okay.
It was clams, mussels, scallops, shrimp,
Oh, you went all
and
that, all the meats.
I did all of it. And you
Yeah.
can imagine how much that cost, because seafood is not cheap. So I
No.
was making a seafood pasta, and I cooked everything all together. And then your mom
Uh,
asked me, and your mom, she's super sweet, and she asked me this just out of, maybe it could have been a suggestion,
yeah.
but she was like, Eric, when do you think it would, like, do you think it tastes better if you do things in batches instead of just like putting it all together? You know, James, when you cook everything together,
Mm-hmm.
pasta, seafood, sauce, everything, is to the point where
It gets
the
overwhelming.
meats are, you're not cooking it, you're boiling it. Like,
Yeah.
boiling it is not the same flavor. And then when she told me that, I was like, yeah, you're probably right. But I just shrugged it off, because I mean, I'm in the zone.
Mm-hmm.
And looking back now, like, that food was mediocre at best.
Yeah.
When you're not good at cooking, you rely on things like, to kick up
Steps.
flavor. You rely
Yeah.
on things like butter, you know, butter, oil, cream, and that's not the way to go. Like, the way to make great food that's simple, that's not fattening ingredients, is timing, temperature,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and patience and
Oh, I thought you were
technique.
gonna say technique, because like that's that sounds straight out of like Marco Pure White or Gordon.
Papi,
Timing.
there's a
Timing.
lot of technique. And then
Technique.
she told me that, and I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you might be right. And I can look back now on these pictures. This is from, like, what, 2000, and I don't even know,
Yeah.
2011. I don't know.
That's
I'm
okay.
making this dinner, and I'm so proud of myself, and I'm like, and looking back, like, that was garbage.
Yeah.
Um, but it's nice to look back on that, because you need to, I don't know, man. You got to just, like, fail in these things. But I'm glad your mom said that, and that's why, like, that could be the what led to me to say, like, why not just cook everything, like, cook certain things, because everything cooks at different times.
Mm-hmm.
Cook it separate, leave it to the side. When the main part is done, the pasta's done, add the seafood.
Mm.
But yeah,
So what
I
you're
don't know.
saying there, because the gray area for people like me getting started is like, okay, so you cook everything separate. But in my mind, if you throw the thing, so when you say done, the heat is not on, right? You throw everything in at the end when the heat is on like low, really low, right? Because if for me, like if I
Yeah.
put the shrimp and the mussels while the thing is still cooked, it's gonna continue to cook and the sauce will boil over and it will seem like it's boiled. Um, but that may not be the case. Like that's where the gray area is in my mind right now. So that's why I was like, well, do you put the oil from that in that as well? Or like, cause
Yeah.
essentially what you're saying is cook the pasta in its like just as kind of like a garlicky, um, and then the question is, we're using the seafood pasta as like a petri dish for
because
for this whole
dude,
thing,
like, because you're early in your
yeah,
learning of this,
right,
and you're taking something that's as hard as seafood pasta. That's not easy, dude. That's hard to do, to execute, and
yeah,
like,
to make
you did
good.
that tonight.
I tried. I
I
mean,
mean,
the
you
friends,
tried. Yeah, fine.
yeah,
Guess what? I tried too, way earlier than I was supposed to. But also, you don't know. You
yeah,
don't know, like, when you should be doing it. You should always be doing it. You should
mm-hmm,
always be screwing up. You should always mess up. You
yeah,
know. I
yeah,
mean, yeah, it's unfortunate that I wish I would have messed up on myself,
mm-hmm.
instead of, like, feeding my family.
Oh, so there
But
seems
that's
to be this thing with you where like you've because of maybe the close proximity you've had to your family, it's just like you've been more or less cooking for them, and you've always had like a reliable source of feedback, whether it's your parents or uncle or anything like that. So I feel like that's always kind of been weighing on you. Whereas for me, I've had the freedom of the good old giant vast vacuum of the Midwest, where
Yeah.
all my friends, well, not all of them, and not to pat myself on the back, but let's just say a lot of them have more subdued palates. And so whenever I
Yeah.
make something that's remotely in that direction, they're like, "Wow, James, you're like
Yeah.
the best cook I ever know." I'm like, if you only knew, like if you really only knew, because there are so many levels to this. I just wish they'd
Yeah.
meet you, or
No, but I
yeah,
mean, James, I mean, you're doing fine now. It's just,
yeah.
you know,
It's fun though. It's
you're
all fun. I don't take it, but where it's fascinating for me is you seem to be taking it to a level where like the whole food, um, the whole thing you were talking about today, where you're kind of maybe wanting to make this a business. So kind of describe that a little bit. So you made it for your friends, and you're trying to sell these units of food. What are they? Are you just like meal prepping for everybody, or is it
kind of.
like an experimental thing that you're trying to do? Because you have like access to some really really good ingredients. You know, like I don't know,
Yeah,
your
yeah.
backyard, your dad's backyard is like, it's like the kind of backyard that you'd see like Vice or Munchies just like taking a documentary at, and your dad
Or
would be
French
like,
Laundry, dude. Or French Laundry.
yeah,
We got
exactly,
thyme and rosemary back there.
yeah. So kind of describe it a
It's
little
just
bit. Like,
like,
what are you
look,
doing?
it's gone to a level where yeah, jeez, I don't know. I mean, I don't know, dude. Either way, like I'm gonna talk about this, but James, like, stay on track with what you're trying to do or trying to learn. You know?
Yeah. Hey man, most in the spirit of Valentine's Day, I think the most my cooking will ever do is maybe convince whoever my future wife may be that I am
Yeah.
not a complete dipshit in the kitchen,
No, stop it.
that I can
No.
handle it,
No.
you know, that I can
James,
maybe
you're
take
already
over.
you're fine now. You're fine now already.
You know, because I feel it's important. You know, it's important
Yeah.
as a human to be able to take care of yourself. There are legit a lot
Yeah.
of people out there that when they step foot into the kitchen, it's like stepping foot into a jujitsu gym. It shouldn't be that way. You know, you shouldn't have to feel like you're gonna get your ass kicked every single time you like make a grilled cheese sandwich. It
Yeah,
should be
but if you
fun.
get
You know.
James, but also if you get your ass kicked every time, you're not just getting your ass kicked, you're learning every time, James.
Yeah. I know some people don't see it that way though, because a lot of
I mean,
people.
I'm saying you should see it that way.
Yeah. Well, the reason I say that is because I do a lot of people shopping for them. Every day I shop through at least I don't know, $10,000 worth of items, and
Yeah.
and I think what I've learned by looking at some of these items is that people are shortchanging themselves, or and also a lot of people are pressed for time. That's the other thing, Eric. Like, is the cooking for a lot of working class Americans isn't like a fun pastime. It's just it's a basic necessity. After work,
Yeah.
that's the last thing you want to do. Like hit
Yeah.
the gym after work. Oh, you're hungry, or even to stand up for an extra 30 to 40 minutes after you've been standing up for 10 hours, 8 hours.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
hard. I feel like
That's
a
true.
lot of people
That's
are
true.
shortchanging themselves, because what I've noticed with the pandemic especially is, the the aisle of food that get decimated the most are either frozen or processed in cans. So canned
Interesting.
foods or frozen foods decimated. Every single day I'll go into the store, and it's like, you know how stores condition shelves, and so you have to go make sure stuff gets brought to the front of the shelves, and so it looks nice so people can grab it, and so they don't ask, so an old woman doesn't just ask me, "Hey, you see that Quaker's oatmeal on top that I can't reach? Can you climb it and get it for me?" I'm like, "All right." "Oh, you're so brave." We do all that just to make sure like they can reach it, right? Yeah. What I have noticed is that anything in a can or frozen, gone. Always decimated. Like frozen green peas, gone. Frozen
Interesting.
edamame, gone. Frozen green
Yeah.
beans, always like decimated. Frozen fruit, don't even get me started, gone. You know what
Yeah.
isn't gone? You know
What?
what is always there? What has been there for a whole year?
Fresh produce,
Correct.
meats.
Correct.
Yeah.
Frozen meat, maybe not so much, but like fresh meat.
Oh, I bet tomato paste too. Tomato paste is a chef's dream, dude. That's the greatest thing. Tomato paste and anchovies. That's a chef's dream. That's all
Describe
you
that
ever
for a
hear.
little bit. Because anchovies, I feel like it's this cultural thing where I think Americans don't like to indulge, but every single other culture, it's like, yeah, the saltier something is, the more kind of, I don't know.
It's
Anchovies
not
is a
just
little
salty,
different.
dude. There's obviously like a fit. Like there's it is
It's
fishy,
pungent. It's
but
pungent, but it's so
yeah,
good.
it's pungent. But when you say fishy, that scares people away.
It
Like they're
scares
like,
people
oh,
away.
I
Yeah.
don't want that. Are you kidding me? But also think about this. Think about Thai food.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe probably Chinese food. A little bit of a Japanese. Think about it. Is there not fish sauce involved in that?
Yeah.
Fish sauce is the worst smelling seasoning, like the most like worst smelling common seasoning
Yeah.
of all that. And yeah, I bet when you throw that thing on there, it's gonna taste nice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what anchovies do. And like the thing about anchovies, when it turns into it turns into a beautiful paste, umami rich, salty,
Yeah.
nice. Throw that,
On
dude.
salad, throw that on just
Of
about.
yeah,
Yeah.
Uncle Bum, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I make a mean tomato sauce, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not hard to make a mean tomato sauce if you're good at that, or marinara. Yeah, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then one time, Uncle Bum, he was like, "You ever throw anchovies in that?" I'm like, "Anchovies? No, not never." No. He's like, "Try it."
Yeah, and ever since I've been doing it too. Like I've been working on
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And guess what? You do that. Don't tell your friends. Don't tell anyone that you're serving that to them.
They're
Throw
gonna be
anchovies
like,
in that.
oh, I have noticed. Yeah, they'll be like, what is that extra? Why is it so different? Like, did you put soy
James,
sauce in that? I'm like, well,
James, no, James, tell him. Being an Asian American or Asian, just say
it's that MSG, baby.
MSG,
It's that MSG, baby.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, anchovy is that natural MSG, dude.
Yeah. Natural MSG. It's weird. Okay, so is there a discrepancy for you between anchovies and anchovy paste? So like the anchovies that come in strips or with the oil or anchovy
Okay.
paste. Does anchovy paste
funny?
make a difference?
I actually don't like when you said anchovy paste. I didn't really know.
Oh, really?
How does it look? How does it look? How does it look?
Well, it comes in like looks kind of like like the packaging kind of looks like toothpaste.
Okay.
And then you kind
Okay.
of
So it's pretty much anchovy, but maybe blended.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Use that, please.
Yeah. Even if it's just a little bit. But you threw tomato paste in the same category. Why do you say that?
The reason why I throw tomato paste, let's say, first of all, tomato paste is an amazing thickener,
Right.
for sauces.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. If you're vegan, I mean, look, it's not about a vegan thing or a vegetarian thing, but that's a great substitute to make a thickener. Also, it's a great substitute for anything. Like use tomato paste, like if you want to thicken your sauce. It's yeah. So I mean, that's why I put them kind of in the same category. You should definitely combine them, but it's definitely in the same category of like a thickener. But also, anchovy is not a thickener. It just yeah. But yeah, tomato paste. I mean, they're separate. I'm sorry, but like tomato paste, thickener, anchovy paste, seasoning.
You think of anything else that kind of fits that category for you, where people like it's like either a condiment or like an item. Like for example, for me, like today, the pasta I made, it was like okay. Then I cut up like a lemon and I squirted it on. I was like,
oh yeah.
Yes, right. To me, that made the difference for me.
What you did with the lemon? With the lemon
at the very end,
when you squeeze that thing over the pasta and the seafood, that brightens everything. It's a brightener.
Yeah.
It kind of lifts things.
But the weird thing is when you're starting out like me, it feels like you're doing nothing. It feels like because the worst part about cooking and messing up currently, whenever I try, because right now, like I'll flat out admit the thing I'm worst at is just flat out, any other seafood that's like not, like for example, like searing salmon or whatnot for me is for whatever reason challenging for me right now. It's because I don't know how to season it properly, or just like I'm not familiar with it, so I just got to get my ass kicked. I just got to keep going at it. But like, where was I trying to go with that? shoot, I lost my train of thought there just because I thought of how I burnt this one piece.
You're talking about salmon. You're talking about cooking salmon, or like what you could do with that. What is it?
No, shoot, I can't believe I lost. It's been a long day, but something to, yeah. Admittedly, that's my biggest weakness is, seafood. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The worst part about messing up is the fact that you then start to compensate. You then start to throw things. For me, I start to throw things in there that I think will fix it. To make the musical comparison, it's kind of like if you're playing in the groove, instead of keeping it simple and locking it to, because when you play, especially in professional settings, you have a click track in your ear, right? Live click track, people looking at you. It's like, okay, you got to remain in the pocket, right? And I feel like cooking's almost the same way. So if you remain in the pocket of your cooking skills and, your body of work, it'll be okay. But when you feel like you're not, just sometimes you feel like the flavor isn't there or like the feeling isn't there, you try to overcompensate. You try to do hits. You try to do these chops, these fills that don't exactly fit, or you try to change up the beat a little bit. And 90% of people are not going to notice it. They're going to say, oh, okay, that sounds slightly different, but it's not off time, so I'll still clap to it. But like you notice that, especially when you try to overcompensate. You throw things in, and at the very end it's like, I feel like that leaned in a totally different direction than I wanted it to, and sometimes it's like not good.
Yeah, maybe, but also there's gonna be a point where you don't have to do any of that, and you just figure it out, dude.
So that's so interesting. That is so interesting to me,
James. The next level to all this is using temperature and temperature, timing, technique. Oh my god, I can call the triple C's, triple T's.
Triple threat situation. You can shoot past
timing, timing, technique. What was the third one? I already forgot. Technique. Timing, temperature. Yeah, technique. It's just like, then you'll know. It's just like you can use heat to your advantage. You can use
That's wild. Tell me the first time, or one of the first times, where you passed into that. I feel like it's such a pretentious thing to say, but there's truly levels to this, right? And so if we're gonna break down the levels of this and your journey, because like it is a journey. So like, when was the first time you realized you were using these mechanisms to your advantage, and you weren't just a slave to it?
Okay. I'll tell you one. So there's one time I was searing salmon. Sure. Luckily, you were just talking about salmon. I was searing salmon. It was some oil, high heat, and then I had it on there. And then instead of just like moving it, because like the problem with like cooking meat or like cooking anything on a pan is that like we initially think that you got to move it around, you got to do things like cooking, like you got to move, like you don't have to do that. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. So I had the salmon in the oil, hot oil, going, searing, and then I just left it by itself, because normally I would move it. Don't move it, because once it sits in there, there's a crust that builds, right?
With the skin on?
Huh?
With the skin on?
Oh, skin on. Okay. Skin on, not skin on. Doesn't matter. Okay. But if it's on the pan and the heat is on, it's frying, you're developing a crust.
Yeah.
Right? And then when you wait long enough, maybe like 3 or 4 minutes, you got a nice crust on that. When you take your spatula and you kind of like scrape underneath, it's almost like there's no effort, because that thing already kind of like is already gone. Like it kind of floated already, because there's already crust there. Once there's a crust there, like it's almost non-stick. So you could take it and then flip it, whatever you want to do. But it's just like people, I think they're just like, when they think about cooking, they think about like moving things.
Right.
Yeah. Or not even adding, but just like moving it around. Just leave it alone. Leave it alone. So I learned that with salmon. It's funny that you brought that up, but I also learned that with cooking steaks. Like, just leave it there, man. Like, leave it. Develop the crust, because the crust is like hard. It's like, no pun intended, but it's like crusty. And and by then it's not going to stick anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you have to just leave it there.
And when was this? When like roughly how long ago was this for you?
I don't know, maybe 10 years ago when I just like cooked salmon. I might have forgot about it. You know, like
Okay.
I might have had it on a skillet and I walked away for way too long and I
Mm-hmm.
went back and I was like, wait a minute, this thing isn't sticking anymore. James, it's different, man, because like you can cook with flavor. You know, you can cook with flavor, you can cook with ingredients like, you know, heavy cream and butter, you know, and do things to make things taste good. But there's certain techniques when you're taking advantage of temperature,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to where like you can, I don't know, like I said, there's a crust that already develops, like the pan did the work for you. Like there's certain things that
Let the knife do the work.
that too. But I mean, hopefully you have a good knife. I don't know.
Yeah. So that kind of brings up a delicate little subcategory of equipment that you use because when you're
Yeah, sure.
cooking um different things like either if it's a seafood or steak or whatnot, do you think personally, do you think it's worth investing in good equipment to make your stuff, or
Absolutely.
yes?
Absolutely, dude.
Mm,
When if there's a pan, if there's a cast iron that costs $30, which seems kind of like a lot, buy it. This is gonna be good.
mm,
Cast iron's gonna be good. There's yeah. The like I've gone cheap, dude. Like I've tried to go cheap with kitchen appliances, but
mm-hmm,
when you buy quality, I mean definitely do your research. But when you do quality ingredients, oh no, no, I'm not quality ingredients, but like quality tools and whatnot,
yeah.
it's worth it, man. Because also it's gonna last you forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Makes your life easier
yeah,
too. Hey, like a really good, like, for me, I'm this is maybe a little out there, like in terms of in terms of budget, because we do have knives, but I'm a sucker for really good, just a really good Henkel's knife with a like a good handle. What I've learned about knives is it's
yeah,
really all about it. I think it's a subjective thing. It maybe, but then the handle should be like weighty, but
yeah,
then comfortable. You know,
yeah. Because like I never
and it just
believed
saves you
this, but
time.
like but I've always heard like if you have a like a very good knife, very sharp knife, it's more safe if anything.
Yeah.
Because while you're chopping, you're not gonna slip and cut your
Hmm.
finger or something.
Yeah. Oh, that brings up another subcategory, using the knife. I
Okay.
feel a lot of people, their gateway entry, especially, you know, starting out as 18, when I'm first starting to realize, hey, wait, my mom and dad have been cooking for me for a long time, and I've never. Oh, I kind of want to give it a try. That knife is scary, you know.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Um,
Yeah, yeah, especially if it's a good knife. Yeah,
yeah, and so I don't know. For some people, it's a fear thing, and some people they don't develop a healthy fear of it, and they really screw up like down the
well, I
road,
mean, yeah,
you know.
but then that goes to I mean, if they're scared, then it's fine. So let other people cook for them, or let other people do things for them, and they can
Hmm.
just like be in their cocoon of not want to take a chance. And that's how people like me make money eventually.
Yeah. What kind of kind of a segue into like inspirations or whatnot? So do you feel like how much of what you know now comes from actual industry experience
Mm,
versus family outings and just the environment that you were fostered in terms of family and in friends, muses that you've had that have kind of fed into who you are as a cook or a chef today, because
jeez,
because you
James,
you no no and the reason I asked is because you once mentioned that like your years of industry experience didn't really teach you how to cook. It was more like this was a self-motivational thing, despite the fact that you were working in the industry at the same time. So it's a weird juxtaposition for me to see you, rise in terms of your cooking level, but then like it not, you haven't really, it just looks like you haven't crossed the paths yet. But you're on your way now. It kind of looks like you're starting something, which is interesting for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll get into that. But no, it's just like this whole time you learn how to cook and then you think you're good, but you don't understand like what it takes behind it. Like, and luckily I worked at a Umami in Oakland
Hmm.
as a cook. Like I
Oh, you
was like,
did?
oh,
Okay, so you weren't just a
I
bartender.
did, yeah,
You
I
were a
did
cook.
because
Okay. Okay.
yeah, I was a bartender. I was a lead, whatever. But I was like, hey man, like, or hey, can I work like back of the house or work in the kitchen like once a week?
Hmm.
So they let me do that. And what that taught me was how important organization was, like
Mm.
organization, like prepping, organization. So when things come down, you'll be ready. Throw it in the fryer, throw it in the pan, whatever you got to do. Um, Salads. I work salads, dude. That thing is hard.
Salads.
Yeah, I worked a station where it was salads and fried items,
Okay,
and that was
describe that a little bit, because fried items is kind of self-explanatory. Where you're working,
yeah, because
it's a greasy,
I
it's a
mean,
greasy thing. It's a tough kind of greasy
yeah, it is. I
blue
mean,
collar
it's all
thing,
set up
right?
so you throw things in the fryer, cool, but you have to like remember like when you threw it in, when you could take it out, but at the same time, I got to make these salads. There's
Yeah.
you got to mix it with your hands. You got to wash your hands, come back and do that. That was so humbling, and I loved it. Like there
Wow.
was because you know, and this is why I always have respect for kitchen workers because these people are making, they might make a little bit over minimum wage, but
Right.
these people are busting their ass all the time,
Yeah.
and I was so happy. Like that might have been the most happy I was working. When I was just
Really?
making that wage, like minus tips, not bartending, not serving, because it's just like the stress is so high
Yeah.
at all times. But next thing you know, it's over, and you worked a 7-hour shift. You know,
Mm.
and like it slows down, and you have to like go back and like prep other things for the night
For
crew.
tomorrow, yeah.
There was almost, yeah, there was nothing I love more than working that. But unfortunately, working in the kitchen, it's just not as lucrative,
Hmm.
as working as a bartender. But yeah, it was definitely high stress, and I freaking loved it. But yeah,
So you prefer that over customer on
if I
customer
could,
interaction, right? You
if
you
if
prefer
you
you prefer being in the
like,
weeds per se.
yeah, but I mean, you're also in the weeds when you're bartending. Also, like
Yeah, for sure.
there's, it's just like when you want to talk about like different levels of stress, um, I definitely enjoyed the kitchen aspect more,
Hmm.
you know. But
You
yeah,
enjoyed it. That's the thing. A lot. I know a lot of people who are passionate. No, meaning that you go on YouTube, you see these documentaries about people that are really passionate about it, and they'll talk good.
yeah,
There's a certain way that people like yourself talk about the kitchen. Like in not just the kitchen at home. I think of that scene in Ratatouille where the Colette is explaining to Linguini, like mommy in the kitchen.
linguine, yeah,
It's a perfect little monologue, and it's very very true. Like um how cooking at home isn't the same as professional cooking, and it's very different.
yeah,
Mommy in the kitchen doesn't have to worry about six different orders coming in at once, and
yeah,
essentially, this is an industry term, or not industry term, but if you've worked any kind of service job, you'll know what it's like to be fucked, like in terms of um in forgive my French, anybody who's listening, but it's a true thing. If you've worked any kind of service job, whether it's uh you know, being a waiter, being
yeah,
a house cook, being someone like myself who does curbside grocery deliveries and picking, Amazon, don't matter. There is a sense of being overwhelmed to the point where you feel like you cannot do the work or the work in front of you. The
yeah,
amount of it, the sheer amount of it seems insurmountable and unreasonable. So, what is your
yeah.
response? You seem to thrive in that kind of environment,
dude,
though, which is
dude,
crazy to think.
yeah. It's strange, dude, because no matter how far behind I am, and I've been back a lot, I got yelled at. Like the one day I worked a week in the kitchen, I got yelled at. Like, come on, we need this, and I loved it, dude. It's so weird.
You loved
It's
it.
weird. I loved it because I was so far behind. But no matter what I did, like, because a lot of times when you're behind,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna just like, like dish out some BS dish, like
Yeah.
not give it your all. I gave my all to everything,
Yeah.
and I was always behind, and this is why I'm not made for this. I'm probably not made for that job. But I did my best, and I gave like everything that came out from my end was perfect. But
Mm-hmm.
I loved it, dude. It's hard to explain, dude.
Yeah.
But
Because it seems
no,
to give
I
you
mean
a spark.
it's great. It's like, yeah, it's nice, but I also learned that like this is not, if you want to be a cook, unless you're like a executive chef, like there's no money in it, you know.
Yeah.
There's only pride. There's
You
only
seem to be you
joy.
seem to be circling back to this theme of like the money thing and how it isn't. How do you what has to change about the industry in order for it to maybe not that it's going to be lucrative, but I mean, maybe from a kind of structural standpoint, these people need to make ends meet too, you know.
Yeah.
So in your experience, like what are some of the things that maybe um what are some of the things about the industry you think are practical to change and that you could see happening as far as how these workers can get compensated, maybe compensated a little better, or maybe their day-to-day situation is a little better, because
Yeah.
that's kind of the million-dollar question at the moment, right? Like, is this work
Yeah.
sustainable?
Yeah.
Is the mental stabilities, are the mental the mental well-being of your staff, I would wager, is pretty important, right? But at least
Yeah.
in the world of culinary, in the world of service industry, no one gives a shit about it because it's all about
Yeah.
production. It's all about,
Yeah.
you know, get it out there and go home at the end of it and don't think about it when you get home.
Yeah. I would like for and this rarely happens, but I would like for back of the house employees, back of the house meaning like the cooks and
Yeah.
whatever. Like I want them to get a percentage of the tips.
Oh,
Why
for
not?
sure. Yeah.
Why not? Because if you compare, like I don't even want to think about it, dude. Like if you want to compare the amount of
Yes,
money
because
that
years, you've had this
bartenders,
for years.
servers make
Yeah.
compared to,
The
because
cooks who make the shit.
because yeah, because we're making that wage, right? And then back of the
Mhm.
house, they have their wage, which is probably a nice wage, but also like it's just not the same.
No, it's not.
Like, why can't it could be minuscule? It could be tiny. It could be, you know, 2% of their tips. Anything.
Hmm.
Like, give them that. Like have the computer figure it out, and give that to back of the house. And that can be divided by however many hours they work. I
Hmm.
think it should be that way because
You're not the
look.
first person I've heard to say that. Like the cooks that
Oh,
I worked
great.
with at the
I
no, for
mean,
sure. So which is cool that you're saying. It's because the
yeah,
people that I worked with a year and a half ago at this, kind of diner coffee shop place, they were
yeah,
saying the same thing, and I was thinking the same thing too. It's like, well, yeah, I should get the tips, but man, the guy making this killer French toast praline, he should really be getting some of that, despite the fact that he's getting paid 15. Like, you really, like, come on, like it's crazy. The people
exactly,
that
yeah,
make your food are not the ones that are getting it.
yeah.
Do you know
But
of
I
any?
mean, well,
Sorry, go ahead.
no, know of any what?
Do you know of any? You have a lot of friends, right? So you don't. Do you know of any establishments that are doing that? As far as, um,
No,
yeah, it's not
that's
normal.
unfortunate.
It's
No,
or at least if they exist, they're very well. It's a very well kept secret. You know.
no, no. If that happened, it would be known. It would definitely be known.
Um,
You know,
mm-hmm.
and that's unfortunate. But it's just like when you think about like the work that's put in, like the effort,
Yeah.
it's just like it's not the same um from servers and bartenders to back of the house. Those guys bust their ass.
It's a different. No, it's a completely different world
Yeah,
because it's
I feel
not
like
just.
I feel like I should like a fake advocate or something because I worked one day a week, but
No, but you were exposed to that. It's not that you work one day a
but it
week.
was even before this. I was like, why don't give them a tiny percentage of what we make? Why not?
Yeah,
Why not?
yeah.
They
Especially
deserve
these
it.
big corporate houses, these big corporate chains. It's not like they can't afford it. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's
But
almost an entirely different subject. No, but I think what you're hitting at too is the fact that it's not just the initial what 30 to 20 however long it takes to make your specific meal. It's not just the fact that you're making a ton of meals at the same time. It's the prep, it's the cleaning, it's the taking care of the dishes, putting it in the Hobart, making sure that every last stain is off of that dish. And then
yeah,
oh, then by the way, making sure that wet oil stain on the floor is cleaned up, otherwise so no one like kills themselves, and
yeah,
making sure
yeah,
the water
exactly.
filter is on, and then making sure shipment comes in, especially in the middle of a pandemic, making
Yep.
and oh by the way, making sure Karen gets her thing without any croutons on it because she has celiac.
Because she's gluten free. She's gluten free. No,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, just because the meal prep thing that I'm doing, it takes 2 days, dude. 2 days
Wow.
of prep, and I get it. For however long or forever long, actually, I've been sharpening my skills as far as a cook. Like trying to figure things out.
Sounds like an anime intro right there. I've
Yeah,
been
thank you.
sharpening my skills.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I learned cooking, how to be good, and we talked about this earlier. Like, there's levels to this.
Yeah.
Like, you can make something good. I can make something. I can make a nice, fettuccine alfredo. You ever had one of those fettuccine alfredo?
From you? Yeah. I've had a lot of things from you.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
not from me. I'm just saying in general. Like fettuccine
Sure. Yeah.
alfredo, freaking beef Wellington, ribeye steak. Um,
Sure.
I got into a point where there's things that are like you can make good food, and I've gotten to a point where it's like making good food is not hard. You know, I mean,
Hmm.
to me, sorry. Like making good food is not hard. So why not challenge yourself to make food with like dietary restrictions? Like, uh,
Oh.
like people have like
Meal prep, basically. Yeah, that's what it
yeah.
looks like.
I mean, this is meal prep because meal prep. A lot of times when you think about meal prep, it's like healthy food. It's like what is it? It's freaking steamed broccoli,
Mm-hmm.
grilled chicken,
Mm-hmm.
brown rice, and that's a great meal prep. I'm not trying to like bash that at all. That's a great way to meal prep. But if you can make good food and you don't have to use the major things that are bad for us, but we love eating. I'll bring it up. It's cheese. Do you love cheese, James? Everyone loves cheese. Like surprise, like dairy is not good for you. Like dairy's not good.
Mm-hmm.
Gluten is not good. You love bread? I'm sure you love bread. You love pizza, right?
Keep going.
It's things like that. It's like gluten, dairy, and sugar.
Sugar. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Gluten, dairy. I would say carbs, but gluten can still like fall under the same category. It's like if you can avoid those, like you're good, you know.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to do, what I have done, like in the last 2 weeks, is I made a meal prep for some friends because I can't sell this right away. I
Mm-hmm.
need my friends as like guinea pigs, like crash dummies, everything. So I've been making meals that have been gluten free, dairy free, but still delicious. It's very
Yeah.
dense. Yeah, dense in vegetables. There's ways to make certain things. Like you can do like I love mashed potatoes. Everyone loves mashed potatoes, but instead of mashed potatoes, you use cauliflower
Yeah.
and cauliflower. Um, Instead of pasta, I use
Zucchini.
spaghetti squash.
Ah. Okay. Okay.
Like there's certain things because, like I said earlier, like I can make a nice pasta dish.
Yeah.
I can make a nice pasta dish, but how challenging? Like it's more challenging. Like why not make a pasta dish where it's spaghetti squash, the same proteins or whatnot, but it still tastes good.
It's still
That's
great.
challenging to
Yeah.
me. That's
And that's
challenging to me.
fun for you.
Yeah, it's kind of fun, like in a sick way. It's just like why not make good food using different like using vegetables using yeah it sounds so weird saying that
No,
but
not
I
at
just
all. Not at all. It sounds like you're
no but
trying to, it's
yeah
like when you're trying to go ahead.
I'm
Go ahead.
avoiding like it's easy, James. Like look, and this is why I feel bad because nice pasta tonight. I saw the picture, dude. Like, nice seafood pasta tonight.
Whatever. But
You know?
yeah,
No, I saw that, and that thing looked nice. But pasta has gluten, and gluten is
not great.
I'm not saying it's bad for us. You know, like we can eat gluten, but it's just a little harder for us to digest.
You can't have it. You know, you can't have it every week or every day. More than
Definitely not. Hey, if you're in the Midwest, it might be okay to have it every day.
I don't know about that, but no, I do see what it's interesting because you're hitting on like a creativity within limits, which is what really high tier artists do. But keep going.
Maybe, yeah. It's just like I want to make I don't want to say I want to make. I know I can do it. I make really good food with dietary restrictions. If you can make good food without dairy,
right,
without added sugar, because look, dude, there's natural sugar in tomatoes, carrots, maybe onions. You know, like there's natural sugar in it, but like you can't avoid that. But if I don't add sugar, I don't add gluten, I don't add carbs or anything, and you can make food good, then why not? And and that went to the next level of why not do meal preps? Because people want to eat healthy. Like who doesn't want to eat healthy? But nobody like understands how to do it or
has the time
or take the effort to make the food, you know?
Right.
And look, I'm not trying to sound like a total prick, but even if they did do it, it's probably not going to be very good. You know?
Yeah. Well, not good to the extent that you have, well, because you have the experience to back it up. You've had all this kind of knowledge to throw at it. Now, it sounds like what you're about to say is you are trying to, where do you think this might head as far as? Oh, I know maybe it's a little too early to think. Like maybe let's see how the feedback is first.
No, you're right because it is too early. Yeah. Because I've been doing this and my mom has been like, "Oh, what are you gonna do after this?" I'm like, look, I don't know.
No, but this is this right here is what I was kind of starting to see when you moved out to Chicago. It's just kind of your food had gotten to a level of, dude, if I can see it, I can do it.
And I can be it.
Yeah. It's like at this point, the food for you, it's you can make something good. And it's not so much, I don't think it's so much now you got to make a business out of it. But like, hey, this seems to be a part of this seems to come full circle to where it's a part of your psyche, where you derive some sort of pleasure out of doing this. And yet at the same time, you are challenging yourself to make these, healthy diet restricting things that are of benefit to people. That's like the next level of your creativity. Like, this can taste really, really good. Hey, guess what? It's good for you. Can you do that on your own? I'm not so sure, but I can do it for you.
I mean, people, James, people definitely could. If they wanted to, they could do it. But it's hard, man. It takes hard. A level, and it takes a level of knowledge that, dude, after years, I figured out, man.
So then what is your opinion on stuff like Blue Apron or these kinds of services that do it for you? Like,
they got it. They could do it. My opinion is that they're just as good. They're not, but also
no. You're hitting on something cool.
They're just as good as far as like they know what ingredients to use or what to avoid. But I can like maximize certain ingredients, and things to make it like look. At the end of the day, if you're on like, I mean, it's a pretty strict diet. What I'm like trying to like.
What you're trying to make, what you're trying to establish.
What I'm trying to do, and I don't I'm in the very beginning phases, and my friends like it's my friends. Like, luckily, my friends pay me for it. It's great, but I tell them like, look, if you stay with this, and you try not to freaking snack on ice cream or whatnot, like you're gonna lose. You're gonna I don't want to say lose weight because it sounds so. I don't know.
But it's sustainable. What you're saying is what you're hitting at.
It's not about losing weight. It's about
sustaining.
Yeah,
sustaining a healthy lifestyle.
It's about being healthier. And if you keep up with this, you'll be good. But I'm not going to tell my friends like don't eat I know you
Yeah.
have chocolate chip cookies in your cupboard. Like, I'm not gonna be like, don't eat that. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Oh,
Um,
I
what?
love this so much, man, because it just sounds like it's somewhat of a spark for you. You know, it's like challenge accepted. But then on top of that, it's you this is like kind of going back to where you were 10 years ago as far as like, hey, what like
Yeah.
how can I make this better? You know, so one of the questions I have for you in that regard is what's your opinion on portion control? Because that's what a lot of people that use Blue Apron or any of these services, they
Yeah.
do it. They part of the reason, at least with the people I know that do it, they do it because of portion control. They do it because when they shop for themselves, it's like they limit. It's hard for them to know how much is healthy, And so you trying to
Yeah.
figure this out, I've like, what's your opinion on portion control and like what are your current what's your current process for figuring out like the nutrition of each? Do you
Dude,
like are you trying to get it down to a science or is it more
what?
are you trying to get it down to a science in terms of pure nutrition value and then taste like the compromise between the two? And is it like
Dude, my problem now is that I don't know. I don't understand about portion, like how much I should give every meal,
yeah,
because I divide by whatever I have with however many meals I have to do,
right.
you know? And whatever I do seems like healthy enough, just enough
Mhm.
to hold you down for a few hours if you have it. I don't understand yet. I don't understand. Or was it like I remember like I told my friend like, I might want to I might want to try to do this, and they're like, oh, do you understand their macros or they were like, dude, I don't know, I don't even know what that is. Like I'm not trying to help bodybuilders. I'm trying to help just people
Just
in general.
right.
You know,
Mhm.
like just like eat this meal and like have this meal today or like at some point during the day, and then maybe like 4 hours later have the second one. Like that's why I give 10 meals. I give 10
Mm.
meals a week to whoever I'm giving it to. Um,
What did
yeah,
you
I mean,
make? Kind of
what?
describe what you make. Is it from the pictures? It looks like the first one is that cauliflower rice with like
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
okay, so cauliflower rice with like pig kind of pork cutlets, right? Is it chicken?
Close. Yeah,
Chicken?
it's actually they're chicken thighs because
Okay.
look, dude, no matter what, I'm gonna stay true to this, dude. No matter what, if you're dieting, I will never make you chicken breast because chicken breast sucks. You ever chicken breast, James?
Yes. Yes. Why?
Yeah,
Why?
it's whack.
Why?
I mean, chicken breast is nice, like when it's fresh and you have it that day. But chicken, dude, fuck a chicken breast. I do thighs, Poppy. I do
Alright.
thighs, and instead of using panko or breading or whatever, I just use
Toppings?
this might be worse. I it's called chicharron in
Oh no,
no,
that's
Poppy.
so
In
cool.
in
That's
Thai or
sick.
Lao, it's called what?
Mocap capu. Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Chicharrones. Yeah.
so I
That's so
blend it.
cool. That's awesome.
I
Okay.
blend it and I use that because
Wow.
yeah, because keto. I'm also not saying this is not a ketogenic diet, but
Mm-hmm.
a ketogenic diet is high fat,
High
no
fat.
carbs,
Oh, that's
no sugar.
genius.
So instead of using panko, I just use the chicharron.
Wow.
But yeah, like you can't like I'm avoiding carbs, no carbs, definitely no gluten, no milk products, no dairy,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm trying to make the food taste good. And I shouldn't say try. I mean the food is good,
Interesting.
but
So,
I'm gonna see how far it goes. Cause dude, I've done this for 2 weeks,
mhm.
and my friends that have tried it, they're like, it's amazing. We'll see. I
so
do
like,
want to make like what?
what kind of marketing would you have for? I again maybe too early, but like, if you were thinking to sell it, what are the very first? What are your friends telling you? Because some of your friends work, these kind of high tier corporate marketing things or
Yeah.
whatever. What kind of feedback have they given you as far as how to get this
No, I
thing off the
mean
ground?
it's all good, dude. Everything is good. It's just like I just don't know what to do because okay, last week I had 30 orders. I did 30 orders.
Wow, dude. All right.
That's a lot. like 30 individual, those little things that I showed you.
It must drive your parents crazy because
No, I
all
mean,
the product
hey,
you have to
they bought
buy,
it.
right?
Hey, my dad told me once I start making money, he's gonna do the dishes for me, which is a huge deal.
Oh, that's so
But it's
Uncle
like,
Pat. That's awesome.
I did 30 the first week, and now I did 50 just now. That's why I'm exhausted, dude. It's
No,
exhausting.
I can tell. Yeah.
Yeah. But next week, I don't even know, dude. It might be. I have no idea what next week will
Do
be.
you just space it to 1 or 2 days, or are you doing this throughout the week? Is it like every single day you're trying to build this?
I might buy things like at the very earliest will be Friday. Like produce or whatever.
Because you're delivering on what
like,
day?
What?
You're delivering when are your clients? When are your customers? Pick customers. When are your can I call them customers? Yeah. When are these people picking up the product you're making? Basically,
Sunday night.
Sunday night. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you also have to keep in mind that like this food is supposed to last for 5 days.
Right.
From Monday through Friday. So I have to keep that in mind. But I've also thought like maybe I'll give them a set for Monday through Wednesday, maybe Wednesday through Friday. I'll give them another one, to keep it more fresh. I don't know, James. This is very early.
I love hearing about this though. This is crazy cool to me. It's awesome. It's so cool.
But I might have to do 2 a week. Like I might have to cook twice a week. But it's been very successful, and it's kind of scary, and it's kind of like I don't know. I don't know, man.
Hey man, do you think? Hey man, like watch if they start to spread the word, guess what? You may have to start hiring.
That's what I'm worried about. Because because I've gotten the very first week the food came out, and my friends reshared it. Like they post pictures and they post it on their story.
Yeah.
I had so many DMs like, "Hey man, how much you charging? Like, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh shit."
Yeah. This sounds like the start of something, but man, like take it from the 26-year-old who hopes to have somewhat of a career in something. Fan that flame, man. Just keep going. This sounds fucking awesome. Like,
yeah,
that's pretty cool. Like the fact that you put the emphasis on healthy, and that's a very California thing to do. But I guess it's like, but at the same time, it's so quintessentially you. You care as much about the taste as you do about the fact that you want this to be a sustainable thing for people, because you're making you started. If this is the start of something, then you started making this for people you care about.
Yeah,
that to me is like that's like the, and if you care about the person, obviously you want it to taste good, and every once in a while, okay, like, hey man, I can make you a killer mushroom risotto any day, but yeah, that cauliflower rice with the cap moo chicken. Is it like, and you fried it? You fried it with the cap moo and like flour or whatnot? Like, what is that? Like, I can't tell from the pictures, but it looks really good, dude.
Wait, what are you talking about?
I'm talking about this right here, the one where
oh yeah, that was that was the chicken katsu.
Man. All right.
But I use a pork skin to coat it.
So then what's the third thing? This stuff right here. I'm my own Jamie right here. I'm Jamie.
Oh yeah, that's lasagna, but instead of using pasta, I used zucchini. Like I really sliced like really thin sliced zucchini. I use that as the layers for the lasagna.
Yeah.
And the I'm gonna talk about it because I'm very proud of it.
Go ahead, dude. Splurge.
So I had tofu, right? Like I had tofu. Actually, before that, like like ricotta cheese. You know what ricotta cheese is, right?
Yeah.
Very creamy cheese. So I took tofu, add a bunch of seasoning, like onion powder, garlic powder, freaking oregano, a lot of nutritional yeast. Nutritional yeast is the MVP for vegans.
I pick that out all the time at the store. I know exactly what aisle it's in. Top nutritional yeast. Yeah. Okay. So you use that.
I use a lot of that. Blend it together, and it tastes amazing. So I use that as the cheese, you would say.
Yeah.
For the lasagna. Yeah, and I put it together. I cut them in sections, and it's nice.
So right now, it's got to be like a phase of you just It's kind of like, that movie, that documentary, Jiro Dreams of Sushi. You're just kind of, you're just at the moment, you're kind of dreaming up different recipes, and it's like, oh, all right, if
I
that
mean,
worked, let's try this out
yeah,
next time. Let's try
I will
that
say
out.
that. Like, I
Let's try
mean,
that.
Euro some, but I have like 8 recipes on deck.
Did you got in your rotation? Okay, so this program, so this past week was this. Is it going to be a totally different lineup for next week?
Maybe, but
Yeah.
James, if you have 8 different, if you have 8 different entrees that are gluten free, dairy free, you're good, man. As far as a company, that's what I'm saying now. But we'll see, man.
Yeah.
I'm excited though.
That is so
I'm very
cool.
excited.
And it's all you right now. Like literally, this sounds like the start of a freaking Vice/Munchies documentary. It's like there'll be like the overhead of you like cooking in the kitchen, and your
Maybe
dad will
we'll
be
see.
talking in the background or whatnot.
It's literally James,
not that
it's literally
it's
all me.
Yeah, no, but that's the point though. It is all you. At this point, that's like that's the coolest part, that it is just you. And
you know what's funny? The worst about this is my dad. You know my dad.
What about it, man? What about him?
Like,
what about him?
If you do this, man, I'm gonna support you 100%. Don't worry about it, man. I'm like, cool, Dad. Thank you. Like I'm dying in the kitchen. I'm making all this food. I gotta do all the dishes. And my dad is like, yo, when you start making money, I'm gonna do the dishes. I'm like, thanks, Dad. That's great. I'm exhausted. I'm beat. I'm done. My joints are done. And I'm like, hey, Dad, do you want to maybe intern today? Like maybe figure it out. Maybe you want to try it out. And he's like, nah, I'm good. I'm going to go sit in this other room and watch TV with Mom. I'm like, come on, Dad. Where you at, dude?
That sounds like you got to invest in a dishwasher at this point, because you guys don't have one, right? You guys are still old style. You guys are still. I didn't use one for. I think it was until I got my first apartment. No, it was when I first started living outside of college in the outskirts of Chicago. Was the first time I consistently used a dishwasher.
Really?
I'm now a slave to it, because that thing is so.
Dude, why not? Why not? Dude, the rack in that thing. Huh? Throw a rack in that thing. I don't know how long it takes. Maybe an hour and a half. I don't know how long it takes.
Throw it all.
Walk away.
In there. I used to be. It's funny because I used to be so vehemently against it. Maybe it's just the Asian in me that tells me I need to use it for extra storage. But that thing nice. It's like a Hobart that takes a little longer than a Hobart, but
yeah, I mean, you definitely evolved, because that's definitely just a extra dish rack for Asians.
For sure, but like, my gosh, when I didn't take into account, like, I have other things I'd like to be doing right now. I just throw it in there, like, all right, cool. Now all I gotta make sure is I clean that thing out at least once a year, once or 3 times a year. That's all I have to do. Sure.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Sounds so cool. Well, you better be careful though. You better not spread this around to the family too much. You might have too many
spread
cooks.
What? Spread what?
As far as, well, word is gonna get out, but our family is a family that's very talented in this sort of industry.
Jesus Christ, yeah.
So you're gonna start getting business proposals left and right, like, oh man, you should do this, you should do that, you should do this, you should do that. All I'm saying is, whatever it is, just keep it quintessentially you.
Maybe, but
you be the helm of it. You be the helm of
James,
it.
James, I have it seems like I have a lot of kitchen space, which is great, like where I live now. But if I had a full kitchen, it would be amazing. And for whatever reason, like, I want to, like, next time I see Uncle Bump, I mean, I'm not going to do it. I'm only thinking about it now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only thinking about this like as a proposal now. But if I was like, hey, Uncle Bump, I'll pay you like $100 a month. Let me use your kitchen.
Which one?
Like, let me go in there at 5 a.m. No one's there. Let me use your kitchen to make whatever I have to do, like prep whatever I have to do.
Yeah. Which one?
And he'll be like,
The
What?
restaurant, or the
Oh, the restaurant. You know what's funny? That's funny you say that because the restaurant and the house is probably very similar.
very similar. You look at the house, it's like, my gosh.
Yeah.
The last time I was there, it's like, this does not. I don't remember this
Yeah.
place anymore. You know.
Yeah, but I was like, hey, Uncle Bum, let me just use your kitchen in the morning. I'll go there at 5 on Saturday. You know, Saturday morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. Let me just use what I do. I'll do the dishes, and then yeah, we'll see though.
Dude. Do you think that would save
We'll
you
see.
time? Do you think that would make your life like
It would save me all the time.
significantly easier?
And the reason why I don't want to ask because I know the Uncle Bum will be like, yeah, go ahead. You know.
Yeah. Probably, but
We'll see.
with that year go ahead, it'll probably be like, so what are you actually doing? And it'll be like, well,
No,
all
I'll
right
tell him
then.
exactly what I'm doing, and he'll be like, hey, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. But look, dude.
All right.
Like just the last thing about this, like, look, I'm gonna try my freaking what is it, meal prep business or whatever, but
Sure.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
don't
go
think
back
of
to
it
you
as a
about
business.
this
Don't
and
think of it as a business. Yeah, it's just like, hey man, just have fun with it. Have fun. Or
have fun with it. But also, James, like whatever
moderate.
you're doing with cooking, like right now, whatever you made tonight was probably good. It could always be better, you know.
You don't have to say that again. Oof, can be better. It's going to be better.
No, it could be better, but you're not gonna learn, James. You're not gonna learn until you screw up and
That's
or
so
I mean,
true.
you'll be fine, man. You'll be fine. I'm just worried about next time you come here because next time when everything's cleared up, it's over, dude.
What
You're
do
not
you
gonna
mean?
have you. What?
You cut out there for a second. When I go there and everything's cleared up, what's gonna happen?
When everything's cleared up, you know, COVID wise,
Right.
and you come and visit,
Yeah.
you're not doing anything, dude. You're only gonna learn how to cook. I'm gonna fuck with you the whole time. And Poppy, guess what? Poppy,
What?
we're sleeping in the same room.
Fine by me, man.
Hey,
Or
hey. There's a bedroom upstairs available. But guess what? You ain't sleeping there, Poppy. You sleep in the same room as me.
oh, you're talking if theoretically if my family were to visit again, right? Or
No,
Stuff like
James, I'm
that.
not talking about theoretically. I'm talking about when you come here next time.
oh,
Are you going to visit when your family comes here next time?
I have no idea, dude. The concept of visiting anything right now is just like such a
Yeah, I
It's
bet.
so
But
sad.
guess what? I'm just saying, like, if you come
When it
here and visit
happens.
next time and your family's there, it's just you.
yeah, it's just me.
Let's say it's just you visiting. We're gonna stay in the same room, even though there's a free room upstairs. Poppy, you're gonna level up so much with cooking. I'm gonna only make you cook the whole time.
Perfect. Whatever however long that takes. You gotta you're like that black belt in the gym, man. You eye the white belt and you eye the blue belt. It's like, all right, it's time for you to hurt for a little bit.
James, you're a brown belt.
No.
Okay.
Hell
No, you're a brown belt, but also like you're gonna take like 8 years to get to black belt. But I'll teach you.
You'll teach me. All right. I'm gonna stop the recording for now. Just I feel it's a good place to